Gear Patrol calls their new dive watch the best sub-$500 dive watch. Full stop. Men's Health rated them as the most stylish solar watch in the game. Who are we talking about? It's Movement. They're leveling up your gift giving with the sleekest watches you can buy and the biggest deals of the season. From their innovative ceramic materials to sexy automatic divers, from ultra-thin dress watches to solar-powered statement pieces, and everything in between, Movement is making sure you're the good gifter this year for your family, your friends, or for yourself. And now you can take advantage of 30 to 50% off Movement's California clean watches, jewelry, and accessories to get them a gift they'll never forget. With fast, free shipping and returns and amazing bang for your buck, Movement makes for a relaxed shopping experience. And with one-size-fits-all watches, it's an easy, elegant gifting experience too. Shop 30 to 50% off now at MVMT.com. That's MVMT.com.
All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. And that's how you kill a fungus gnat, folks.
Clap and slide.
Always clap and slide.
Always. You got to get them. Hey guys, welcome back to the Potted Together podcast. I'm Nicole, and I'm joined here by my lovely co-host, Adam and Becca. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you guys doing this week? What you been up to?
Staying warm. Trying my best.
It's so cold.
Yeah, it is so cold. What the heck? Real winter.
You got some new windows though to keep you warm.
Yes, that would be the update. I got new windows, and I talked about it in my most recent lifestyle video on my lifestyle channel. So if you're interested, go check that out. Little self-plug. But yeah, we got new windows. We started the process to get new windows in October, but because so many people get new windows apparently in the winter, I don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why, because maybe then they realize that they need new windows. So we had to wait a long time, and we actually thought it would be until March, but then we got a random call because a bunch of people canceled because of the crazy weather. It's been like well below zero. Well, okay, I can't say that. It's been like 6 degrees, which to me is like crazy. Oh, wait. -6. -6.
Yeah.
I should say well below freezing. It's been well below freezing for like 3 weeks. So I think that a lot of people didn't want their house to be open, the windows gone for even just a few minutes, because you get it. So anyway, we were the crazy ones that said yes, and our house stayed pretty warm because of our fireplace. But yeah, it's been really nice to have new windows. They look really pretty, and hopefully that will be good for resale in a few years. So yeah, that's my biggest update.
They're so pretty.
Yeah, that's a huge update too. And now you probably have windows without, paint messes on them from people who sloppily paint.
Yeah. Now it's just the trim is just like covered in paint. Like how badly can you bleep up a paint job? Like they did it. The worst paint job of my life that I have ever seen is this house. Like you can tell that they taped certain areas, but then other times I'm just like, you literally just used the roller and got it as close as you could and said, all right, that's it.
That's where I'm a stickler for clean lines in painting. And this house has like pretty bad, because I'm pretty sure that this house was like a flip. It might have been like a rent situation that then was just like flipped. But the windowsills have painted on dog hair. You know how like your windowsills, like our windowsills are like 3 inches deep and they're flat. And I was just looking the other day and like cleaning them, and I was just like, they just literally used a spray gun. I'm certain used a spray gun, and they just like did not clean the walls or anything before they painted, and it drives me nuts.
Oh gosh.
What the hell? That's so gross. On the topic of windowsills, I don't have windowsills anymore, which is a little sad. They're like 2 inches, which is definitely not enough space.
Yeah,
for
that's
anything.
standard. That's pretty standard.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So that kind of sucks, but at the same time, like, if I have windowsills, they're like stuffed with plants and it looks really cluttered to me. So it's maybe better that I don't have that so that I can like be more mindful about styling my plants. So it'll be a fun adventure. But what about you guys? What's new?
Adam, what was your week like?
Pretty boring. Not much going on. I did, however, get a new plant.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh.
You remember me
How
talking
do we not know about this?
Well, because I didn't really post about it. I haven't posted all week. I don't know what. I've just been like funky time. But Monday I had off of work and literally didn't leave the couch, but that was kind of nice.
Yes.
Nice.
As you should.
But I went to Trader Joe's and they had another Spathiphyllum peace lily, variegated peace lily. And you remember that mine, when I repotted it, after owning it for over a year, just like died. It was like, nope.
Kick the bucket, yeah.
Don't want to be repotted. So I bought a new one because I saw it at Trader Joe's. Because truth be told, I went there to buy a new sauce that they came out with. And I do realize that I'm fortunate that I live very close to a Trader Joe's.
Yes, you are.
I used to drive 2 hours to the one in your area, Nicole. Well,
oh, wow.
In the suburbs. But they have this new sauce called Awesome Sauce, and it's the same. It's basically the In-N-Out Burger animal style sauce. So I was like, yes, I need this in my life. So
Wow.
I went to buy it, and then I saw the peace lily, and I snatched that up too.
Fun.
Trader Joe's sometimes has great plants.
Oh,
they
yeah,
had
they have.
Tetrasperma.
Yeah, and they had a Peperomia polybatria there too, as well, like the owl's
That's
eye
crazy.
Peperomia.
Not bad.
But it was funny because like I love speaking to like people who are working. Like when I was a cashier in college at Toys R Us, like I loved when people wanted to have a conversation with me. So the cashiers at Trader Joe's are always so nice. But this girl was like saying, oh, is this plant for you or is it from somebody else? I'm like, oh, it's for me. And then she was like giving me all the care tips for it. And I was just like, I know. I didn't say that. I was just like, thank you so much. She was really sweet.
That's really sweet. Wow. Plant advice from the Trader. What do they not do? You know, what can't they do?
Yeah.
So Mia's both Mia's dad and her stepmom both work at Trader Joe's, and they talk so highly about like the benefits, the pay, the schedule, like just like them as a company. They're great.
Yeah, they are. Two of my best friends work for TJ's. We call them Trader Hoes. You know what I mean?
Like
so
in a loving
actually,
way?
yeah, lovingly. I've had 3 friends work for them actually. One of my roommates in college, and then now 2. Well, they've all been my roommates. But yeah, they all talk about how great of a work environment it is. Besides, like 2 of them currently work at the upscale store in like Oro Valley, which is like the rich white old retirement village in Tucson, basically. So you can just imagine the
location
things
of your bachelorette party, right?
Correct. How did you know that? Oh my gosh.
I just remember things. I can't help
Memory
it.
like an elephant.
That is so funny. Yeah, we rented like a really nice house. Like the houses up there, pretty nice. It had a beautiful pool. It was great. That's so funny that you remembered that. What the hey?
I'm weird. See, that weirds people out. If they're not my friend, they're like, I don't even know you, and how did you remember something about my life?
I like that feature about you. Feature?
Feature.
Yeah. I like that feature about
I like
you.
that we got that in the last software update. But that's what it's like when people like follow your life online. Like sometimes they'll reference something that you've talked about. They're like, oh yeah, I like your kitchen sink. And I'm like, huh? Oh yeah, right. Yeah, like you know this because you follow me. So anyway,
Yeah.
cool.
I completely interrupted your story about your friends working at the fancy Trader Joe's in Oro Valley.
Oh, there wasn't much else. Like they basically just tell stories about old people dropping wine, walking through it with their shoe. Like just that was the most recent one, but just like lots of things like that. Like most of them are not funny stories. They would enrage me, but Trader Joe's is apparently a great place to work. I did not know that they both worked there, Nicole. I don't know why I would, but
Recently, they bartended for a really long time and then decided that they're adults now. So
yeah, that's a tough job to do.
I mean, it's a tough job because I used to bartend too. And it's just like once you hit a certain age, it's hard to do it, especially when you have kids and, you know, you have to be present. It's very difficult. Props to anybody over like the age of 30 who still bartends because don't know how you do it. But yeah, they love it.
That's cool. Trader Joe's has the best wine for so cheap.
Yeah,
so
I was
cheap.
just going to say they're known for some pretty good wines.
And the story behind that, like the Charles Schwab wine, or I think that's what they call it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true, but a long time ago I heard that it was like a husband and wife company, but they were getting divorced and the wife was awarded the profits or a percentage of the profits from the winery, and the husband sells it at the point where basically they're making no profit just to get back at her. But I don't know how true that is. That's just what I've heard.
But it's a good story.
Oh my gosh. I heard
How
a
shitty.
similar thing with like Lowe's and Home Depot. Like it was a married couple and then they divorced. And
Oh,
like
no way.
Yeah, the wife owns Lowe's because it's more feminine, and then the husband owns Home Depot.
That sounds
that
like a
true?
meme.
No idea. I've never heard that.
I don't know, but it sounds like something someone would have made up.
Yeah, it does. It's too good to be true. Like, I don't know.
Well, okay, so my weekly update. We're buried in snow. Like buried in snow. Chicago hasn't gotten this much snow since 1978. Like consecutively, it's been snowing for 9 days straight now, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, we've gotten this much snow in a season, but not this much snow all at like one time. So it's been a little challenging. However, despite like all the snow we've gotten, how many times we had to shovel, I threw my back out yesterday also, which was fun. Not yesterday, the day before, because I shoveled the day before. But despite all the snow that we're getting and like how freaking cold it is, I cannot get like Texans out of my head right now.
Yeah.
And how crazy of a time that they're going through. And I didn't realize how many people I knew in Texas until I started seeing like everybody's tragic posts about like their roofs caving in and their toilets freezing. And it's so scary. It's crazy how like people in certain parts of the country don't prepare for weather like that. You know, like the homes were not built to withstand freezing temperatures like that. And it's crazy. It's so nuts. So that's where my mind's at all week, has been on people down there and surrounding states, because it's not just Texas. Like a lot of people are without power.
So many people have posted videos that I've seen on TikTok and stuff about their pipes bursting. And honestly, that's like, I don't want to say it's one of the worst things that could happen to your home, because I'm sure there are worse things, but like the pipes are always in the structure. So when they burst, you basically have to tear out all the drywall to even find where they were burst. It's just like, it's so devastating to so many.
And depending on where, like pipes just don't burst where your faucets are or where the pipes are. Like they could just burst in a wall and start shooting out of a wall in the middle of a room, you know? It's just so crazy. It's so scary. But they also have never experienced this much snow, like in the past few decades. So there's no snow plows out there. There's no salt trucks. People don't own shovels. People don't even own boots, you know? So they're just kind of at a standstill right now. And there's like no end in sight, I don't think.
Oh, it's messy. I've heard stories of people like burning their furniture and like foraging like in whatever forested areas Texas has, probably not that many, for wood, like bathtubs being filled up during like the brief moments when the power came back on, which is something that I didn't even think about. Like obviously I've lost power before, like in storms and stuff, and we didn't have running water, but it was like for like an hour, you know. But like it's so strange it's sad to think that like so much is connected to electricity. When you lose that, like your current way of life is like out the door.
Yeah, so people are like going in their cars to charge their phone, and there was a fatal accident that was on the news yesterday of a mom and her 8-year-old who just went into the garage, and I guess they had the door open, but they were running the car to stay warm, and they died of carbon monoxide poisoning because it's like odorless and you don't know what's happening, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
That's
scary.
awful. That is so awful.
I know. Sorry to be a Debbie Downer, but that's the only place my mind's been at for the past couple of days. And I'm like, well, we're buried in snow, but that's okay because our house can withstand this and it'll melt eventually.
I've seen a lot of TikToks of people like, you can tell they're not from Texas because there was people out like scooping snow. I say scooping snow. I know that's not what you should say. You should probably say shoveling, but I always have said scoop.
Scoop.
But there was some people in Texas that were shoveling their driveways, and they're like, well, you can tell they're not from Texas because they had a shovel. And I didn't even think about that because like I grew up in the Midwest. Every time I went to like Lowe's or Home Depot or any store, there was always like a barrage of snow blowers in the front. And I was like, oh, wait, I don't see that anymore. Like in Phoenix, obviously that's not. And I don't have a shovel either. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what my mom was saying because they're coming back in 3 weeks, and she was like, wow, like I don't even know if I own a pair of boots. Like she's looking for her winter gear thinking like they're in the clear because they're coming mid-March, but it's going to be a really cold winter allegedly. So I'm like, you better find them boots, Mom, because you don't need it out there.
Boots with the fur.
With the fur. Oh, speaking of boots with the fur, I have a pair of Uggs that. Oh, look at you! Adam just brought out his boots with the fur.
I really love these things, but
those are nice.
Since I wear a size 13, every time I put them on, people are just like, "Those are gigantic," and they really do make my feet look huge.
Now you have to post a picture of them on Instagram today.
Yeah, a picture of you wearing them, your skis.
So people could see.
What was I gonna? Oh, Uggs. Listen to this. I have a pair of Uggs. I've literally had these Uggs since 2010. So we're looking at 11 years that I've had these Uggs. They're in mint condition because I lived in Tucson. I wore them for like a month out of the year. Like now I wear them every single day. And when I tell you my feet have never been cold when I was wearing them, I'm being so serious. Like my feet have not been cold once.
Nice.
And everybody makes fun of Uggs. Everybody is sleeping on Uggs is what I have to say.
So those are from Australia, right?
I guess, which is weird because it doesn't even get that cold in Australia. Well, maybe some parts.
Because I have my Blundstones, the boots that I wear, the Chelsea boots, are Australian. They're Tasmanian leather.
Yeah.
And honestly, they're just like the best. I've had them for 3 years now, and they're the best boots.
Yeah.
Those Aussies, they know how to make those good footwear.
They do. I know that like Melbourne gets really cold. My friend Tanya, she's from like Brisbane area, like I don't know, Gold Coast. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying words that she says. And it's super tropical there, so like it doesn't get cold. So when she was visiting here, it got down to like, well, not Missouri. She was visiting Arizona, and it got down to like 70 degrees, and she's like, I'm freezing. What the heck? Like, why is it so cold here? And I'm like, oh God.
So this was a long time ago, I think. Oh, this was in 2019. Anyway, I don't know if you want to put this in here. You don't have to. But there is a video circulating the internet about Uggs and like how they're like really, really bad working conditions.
No.
Where people are... Yeah, I know. I almost didn't want to say anything, but I remember watching it and thinking like, don't ever buy a pair of Uggs again. But now I can't find it. Now watch the video exposing the ugly truth behind Ugg boots. Okay, hold on.
Why can't anything be pure?
I know.
Why is the garment industry like so fudged?
Ugh. I know.
Listen, I've been looking for a sewing class local because I want to start like trying to sew clothes, like my own clothes. I want to give it a go. Like I think I could sew. I could start with like tank tops, because those are pretty easy. They seem pretty. I mean, not that I wear tank tops a lot, but my thing is like short sleeve button down shirts, and I've watched a couple videos and it just seems so complicated. But I'm like, maybe it seems complicated to me because I don't have the foundation knowledge and if I could do a beginner sewing class. But all the ones I've seen online, it looks like they make like pillows, which I did in high school, or like bags. But I kind of want to like learn how to make clothes, you know?
Wow. But Adam, that would be so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it just like, it kind of has like a little, I have a little excitement about it. But again, is this me like doing my thing that I do, I feel like yearly, which is like I find a new hobby and I like go gangbusters for that certain hobby, and then like a year later I'm not doing it. But
what's the harm in that? It's fun.
It's hard to find.
So you get a few tank tops out of it, you know?
Yeah. I'm a tall, lanky guy. It's hard to find things that like fit me how I would like them to fit, you know? So I thought it would be fun to try. So I need to figure that out, because I would really like to do like a beginner sewing course, like in person, or I know there's a lot on YouTube, and a couple people have like suggested. One of my friends from Instagram, he does his own shirts, and he suggested like this YouTube channel to follow, which I can't remember the name right now. I have it saved, but I don't know. There's not a lot of men's clothes.
Is it Taylor Creations?
No.
Yeah. I make women's wear though, but I would like to get into menswear and make Daniel some things, because he's been making comments here and there. But your local sewing shops, there's probably like 1,000 by you. They definitely have classes, 1,000%.
Really?
Absolutely, without a doubt, yes.
Yeah.
And it's just like a bunch of old ladies that look like your grandma, exactly look like your grandma, and they'll show you.
Okay.
And you like old people.
I love
you
old
love
people.
old people. Yeah.
Me too.
So it'd be perfect.
Not my grandma, but I like other old people.
Sorry, Grandma.
Yeah. Wow. I'm struggling to not talk about this more because, you know, I love this. If you haven't found a machine yet, Adam, I'd love to offer a suggestion, but we'll move on.
Steve actually has a sewing machine that's like never used. I don't even know what brand it is. I'll have to look at it.
You already have
watch
a
it be
sewing machine?
Yeah,
watch it be some like
machine.
beautifully vintage piece of sewing.
Yeah.
Becca's gonna lose her shit.
I just feel like, you know, Becca's right. The garment industry is awful, I feel like. But, you know, I think it's just a skill I would like to have. Like, what if one day, like,
Yeah.
you have to start making your own clothes? And then, I don't know.
It's nice to be able to customize for your dimensions, and like the issues that you've had with clothes literally your whole life had nothing to do with your body. It had everything to do with the way that the garments are constructed. That's something that I've learned, because I've always thought that my body was wrong, and then I started sewing and I was like, no, actually, like, my body is just like me.
Yeah, your
That's a
body's
really
great.
good point.
I had to film
great.
you from behind, so I'm just kidding. I'm probably not going to leave that in.
Save it for the bloopers.
I had to film you from behind. You took some good pics. Like, my ass looked good in those pics. I was like, damn, I look good from behind.
She got that cake.
Wow, that's great.
Oh, I had something else to say about the sewing. So what also has piqued this interest in me, like Becca, I love watching your videos. I think it's so amazing. Like when you redid that dress, like how you could see it and be like, okay, I know how to change this to how I want it. Like I was very impressed. But then also like Drag Race, which I don't think either of you watch, but it's a good quality content. You should watch it. But there's this queen on this season 13, Utica. And I am in love with Utica. And she is like goofy, tall, lanky. But they had a challenge where, and after this, you guys are going to have to look this up. They had a challenge where they had to take bags. Like RuPaul brought on a bunch of bags, and it's the bag challenge. And they had to just take the material from the bags and create a garment.
Wow.
Some were like awful. But Utica took these 2 sleeping bags and she made the most stunning thing I think I've ever seen on the stage of RuPaul's Drag Race. And I was just like, I mean, she knows how to sew. And
That's so
I was
cool.
just like, how cool would it be if, like, not that I'm going to make a sleeping bag dress, but how cool would it be just to learn how to, like, have the skills to be able to do that?
Right.
Yeah, it was, honestly, it's the most beautiful, because every year they have this challenge where the queens have to sew in the room, because I think they can bring in their clothes for each challenge, but there's always one where they have to make it there. And usually it's a fail for a lot of people because people just don't know how to sew. But when you know how to sew, you can crush it.
I need to watch this for the sewing element alone.
Yeah,
I mean,
you do.
It doesn't give you a lot of like the sewing content. Like they don't show.
But it sounds fun.
What's that? It's not like Project Runway where you like see them working kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fair. Wow, that's great. That's really great. I think that it's so fun. If you want to sew, go thrift some stuff and make something new. That's a great way to start. Be mindful about what you pick, though, so you don't ruin a perfectly good garment. But it's a great place to start. It's my pet peeve when I see people do that online. I'm just going to admit it. And so many thrift flip videos online are just people like absolutely ruining clothing and they could just do it right if they just watched a video on how to do something. It makes me so mad. But that's, again, like my hatred for people not helping themselves. And that's a personal problem that I hope I get over someday.
She's going to end up throwing something at her television, guys. So just stop.
Just learn the absolute most basics of sewing before you cut open a shirt. Okay, anyway, so the topic...
Moving on. So today's topic, which I failed to mention in the beginning, we're going to be talking about some plant hacks that maybe some of us do, maybe we've seen somewhere, that we want to share with you guys. So I thought that this was kind of fun. I had a hard time coming up with some, but
yeah,
I got a couple.
It's kind of hard to think about what you do on a day-to-day basis, but like we're doing plant hacks like all day, and you know, it's hard to like think about them because it's so ingrained.
I feel like you find yourself doing things too that you not necessarily learned online or whatever, but that you're just like making do and making it work because it's what you have there in the moment, you know, and then you're like, oh shit, this works, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so which one of you guys want to start?
Okay, so
was that a hand raise? I was thinking. No. I don't know if that was a hand raise.
It just means not me. I just touched my nose. For anyone who didn't see. Wait, have you guys not heard of that? You guys are old. That's why.
But when you did it, I was just like, well, I don't know what this means.
I thought it was like a me.
Oh, you elder millennials. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. Mine is I love thrifting old plates or like using old plates around my house. Because like when we got married, we got like a new dish set, which I guess like is so, I guess everyone does that. I don't know. Anyway, we had this old dish set. What'd you say?
Cliche.
Yes, it's very cliche, old fashioned or whatever. But so we had our old dishes. So I use them for saucers a lot. And
oh yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. And you can thrift old plates. Like there's lots of plates that don't have matches that would otherwise probably just be thrown away, honestly. Because usually the sets of plates do the best at the thrift store. But yeah, I like to use those and like old serving trays and stuff like that. I like to use just as like an anchor for plants, because sometimes when you have like a bunch of small plants, it can look kind of weird if they're just like sitting on the counter. But if you have like a tray that you thrifted or like an old serving dish, it just looks more like intentional.
Polished.
So yeah, polished. I like to do that.
Cool. What about you, Adam? What's one that you have?
Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot.
Yo.
I feel like, okay, so now I'm thinking more and more of things I do that could be considered a plant hack. But the first thing that I want to talk about is water sealing my trellis. I have started to water seal all of my bamboo trellis so they don't rot.
Oh my God, wait. Did you say bamboo?
Yeah.
Does bamboo rot?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I just got a bunch of bamboo. Well, guys, if you watched my most recent video, because I swore that they didn't.
No, they do, yeah. Did you say it? I haven't seen your video. Did you say that they don't?
No, I don't think I said that they don't.
Did you spread lies to the community?
Like always? No. I don't think I said that specifically, but I said I hope they don't rot. Like I'm assuming that bamboo doesn't rot.
I mean,
and I really
sorry, continue.
for some reason, I don't know why I thought that it didn't. Maybe I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. Because a lot, you can find it growing like in swamps and stuff. So I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, eventually they do rot.
So how do you water seal?
I got this spray that is like kind of like in a spray paint can almost, and I just take it outside on cardboard and make sure to spray the areas that will be in soil or in the pot. And it's kind of hard because you have to like let it sit for 48 hours. But, you know, so I just started doing that recently, and it does work. You know, you dip the end in water and you just see it like bubble right up and like slide off kind of thing. So.
Oh, that's so exciting. I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah, because I've always been afraid to use like copper trellis in my like passive hydro plants because I just don't know what sort of reaction they would have with water and if it would cause anything. I don't know. I haven't looked into that very much.
Yeah, I haven't either, but I got a copper trellis and I have my tetrasperma on it. Well, one of them on it, and it doesn't seem to be, it's growing great now. So it doesn't seem to be doing anything, but that's only like a few weeks old. So stay tuned.
I just don't know if it changes like the pH or of your water. I mean, maybe it doesn't because a lot of like water pipes in our homes are made from copper pipes. So.
And that's most applicable to you guys because you have these things literally sitting in water. And so for me, like I use bamboo all the time and it doesn't rot to the point where it like is a bad situation. So I'll say that for any soil users, like in my experience at least, I have used bamboo trellises a lot and they do turn like a darker color, but it never seems like festering, rotting. You know what I mean? It just seems like it got darker.
Yeah, I think it might take more time, but you're right. Yeah. Ours are literally sitting in water.
Okay, really good to know. Well, one that I have is more recently, and I probably saw this somewhere, but I can't pinpoint where, but I have this Monstera elbow, and I grew it from a wet stick, and it's just 2 little leaves, and I found this bigger, like, wide mouth mason jar, and just put it over it, just to kind of, obviously, it still lets the light in, but it kind of acts like its own little terrarium greenhouse sort of thing, because I wanted to get it potted up. Like it was done being in this bag in the grow box, you know, it was ready to get potted up, but I still felt like it was going to be a shock to my dry house because for some reason, like ever since February hit, I can't keep it over 30% humidity in here, no matter how often I run my humidifier. It's just really bad. And it's worked. Like, I think it's really happy. So I just kind of put that over. And like, you could do the same thing with like a Ziploc bag, which I did with my Anthurium regale. And that's in LECA. And like, obviously our LECA is sitting in a water reservoir. So like the water coming up creates like humidity so well in a Ziploc bag, which I think is just so cool because then you can just leave your plant potted up. You don't have to put it in a terrarium or put it in a special like little greenhouse setup, you know? Yeah. I mean, it's not like the most aesthetically pleasing thing to have a Ziploc bag over your plants, but it works if you're growing a plant from a wet stick or a baby.
Okay.
Did you have any other ones, Becca?
Yeah, I saw Caitlin from Plant Life in the Tropics do this. She is trying to grow I think it's a Micans or a Melanochrysum, I don't remember, because they look really similar at a juvenile point. So I don't remember what it is, but she is training it up a wall. And so what she did to like get it to stick to the wall, because plants will stick to our walls if we want them to, but it just takes like a certain amount of training. So she taped them, like the nodes, to the wall. And when it's time to remove, you just take off the tape, and that's really the end of it. I mean, it's a really easy way to do it. I mean, there are like special hooks that you could buy, but this is a hack. So you don't have to go out and buy those special command hooks and spend like $10 on a pack, which like would be cool and stuff. Obviously, that's like a more aesthetic way to do it. But yeah, depending on how quickly they can adhere, you could just use tape instead, and it does the same thing.
Nice.
So do the aerial roots still grow through like the tape? Like they just push their way through?
Yeah, like you just like root, tape right over it, and like you don't like smash it into and like line the sides of the aerial root. Obviously, you just like kind of leave it open, kind of. You know what I mean? Like it's like a tent.
Yeah.
And you tape
so
it
it
so
can
it's like a
still
tent.
it still provides pressure against the wall, but doesn't stop it from moving anywhere else.
Yeah.
Right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would like to try that with something at some point, but like I talked about doing that with my big Adansonii tree, and a bunch of people were like, that might like really tear up your drywall, and that would suck to have to redo your drywall before you move, like especially if this is not a forever home. So maybe stick to doing it with like small plants where that wouldn't literally rip out your drywall, because I'm pretty sure the Adansonii could do some damage if I let it.
It will, because I had my Adansonii outside in the summer, and it found its way to the brick building, and I had a hard time pulling it off of the brick. Like I thought that I was going to have to break it. I had a really hard time getting it off the brick building, and that's brick. So drywall, I would imagine it would, when they grab on, they grab on. Yeah.
Stage
At
5
least
clinger.
it would. Motorboat. It would at least tear your paint off, like for sure.
Yeah. My only thought, and this may not even be something you'd want to do, is just to put like lattice up your wall, like that, that wooden lattice that you can buy at the stores, and then just, then it could still climb, but it would be attaching to that instead of your wall. But
that would be pretty.
I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people suggested that when I posted that, which is great.
Gross. Well, I don't want to be like everybody else.
Common thoughts come to people who think alike. It's okay. Yeah. And then, Adam, you do another one. What's a plant hack that you know?
Well, I don't really know if this is a hack, but because I do a lot of things in LECA passive hydroponics, our water here is just really hard. So I guess you can't really consider this a hack, but I did get a water delivery service, which I've had for over a year. It went through Costco. It's this company called Sparklets, where they deliver 5-gallon jugs, and every 2 weeks they pick up the old ones that are empty and give you new ones. And it's been a lifesaver. I used to fill my humidifiers with that because I didn't have to worry about them getting buildup, like that calcium buildup. I don't really deal with humidifiers now, but now I know I have a base for my nutrient solution, so it's always the same. It's like I have my process down and it works. But the hack that I love that I use with these 5-gallon jugs is I bought off of Amazon, which for anybody who wants to do this, maybe for your humidifiers or anything else, like I have a little battery operated nozzle that I literally can just like stick on top of the jug, and a tube goes into the water, and then I just put a funnel on top of my humidifier and I just turn it on and let it fill the humidifier. Or I do the same with my jugs of nutrient water or Super Thrive water, and it's a lifesaver. I guess you could always like tip, but when they're full, those 5-gallon jugs are heavy.
They're heavy.
Yeah, they are.
So
And
I saw that. You should put that in your Amazon store.
Isn't it? I think it is.
Oh, it is?
Oh,
okay.
is it? I'm gonna
I haven't
go buy
been in
it
there in a
now.
while. Yeah.
And the thing is with those is I've been just like using the 5-gallon thing and like dumping it in, but like the water pressure, like you know how the water bounces until it has like a airflow, it will bounce outside of the container like 1,000 times, and then you lose a bunch of water before, unless you're like really slow and precise about it. You're really like giving it time. But I just started a water delivery service because I was inspired by you, Adam, and it's so cheap. It's like $12 or something, and like that's basically what it would have cost to. I get 2 5-gallons. It used to cost $6 to fill them up, but now it gets delivered to me, and I don't have to do anything, so it's worth it to me.
Yeah, because you used to have to go out and get your water in Tucson, right?
Yeah, and it sucked so much. It was like the worst day of my life every time I had to do it. It's worth the extra $6, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and we use it for our drinking water too, because the water just here is not really good drinking water. So
yeah.
Adam.
But it's so nice. Like I just really like having it, and it's just easy to do, and it saves a lot of stress as far as like, especially for those plants where you were leaving your water out for 24 hours so the fluorides would dissolve or whatever. Like, for your calatheas that need your special attention.
Yeah. Which I heard isn't even like effective. I heard that doesn't actually work.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's just so much in our water and it so changes all the time that like it's hard to. But this has been a lot less stress with the whole process of passive hydroponics and also just like plant care in general with filling humidifiers and all of that. I'll scream about it from the rooftops because it's just been so easy.
Mm-hmm. This is a first world conversation at its finest.
I know.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so another one that I have is like I absolutely love my IKEA shelves. What are they called again, Adam?
Vitsu.
They're great. Like I want to get a couple more once we move. But the problem I have is once my plants get too tall for the shelves and I have to stake them up, they don't fit on the shelves. So I have like a teak bench next to the lights where I have those plants and they're all just kind of like all the leaves have shifted towards the IKEA shelves. So like you look at it dead on and they're all just shifting. But what I found for a few of my plants that like to climb, I'll just strap them to the sides of the shelves. So like the legs of the shelves, and the light is still reaching them just fine and they're able to climb up the sides of the shelf. Now obviously it's a pain like if you have to take it to water it, which I really don't take those to water them. I just use a watering can for those. But like if you needed to repot, like taking all those Velcro straps down would be a pain, but they're happy. Yeah. And it's a way to decorate your shelves.
I have a few plants Velcroed to my shelves as well.
Yeah. That Velcro tape is just, whoever invented that stuff, man.
Yeah.
Pat on the back.
Clutch.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have more?
We're going in a circle.
I'm actually like thinking of so many as we're recording, but next one is takeout containers for propping, which is so like it's so slept on because I feel like for myself, like I think that every year that I own plants, I want to like level up what I'm doing, like I don't really propagate in water as much anymore just because I found other ways to be better. And I mean, I'll still rely on it for like passive propagation if it doesn't really matter if it roots or not. Like long-term bouquets, you know what I mean? But like if I want something to root and I really, really am focusing on making that plant like a developed plant, I've found that propagating in moss is just like way better. Especially for like Hoya. A lot of Hoya for me don't root in water. Unless it's like a thin vine Hoya, they just don't root in water for me. And then, yeah, so I have a ton of wet sticks because I've had some plants die, admittedly. So they lose all their leaves, but they have all these aerial roots and like you can still make a plant out of that if you're patient. Yeah. So a long time ago, I had some Chinese takeout containers, which I don't know what it is about like specifically like Chinese and Thai food that they have like really nice takeout containers. It's like Tupperware. They're giving you Tupperware. It's like, this is perfect. And they're actually really nice. So I have like 3 or 4 of those and I just have them filled with wet sticks. And my mame, which we have been on a saga for that mame, it was doing nothing. Nothing. And then I put it in, I finally had a container big enough for it. So I put it in a container. Literally within like 3 days, it put out a ton of roots and a growth point. Like a little like pimple. I need to check on it to see if anything else has developed. But like it has done so much more in the last 3 days than it has in the last 3 months. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, they're like hyper humid environment that you can create with moss and a closed container is really great. And you might not have space to have this huge greenhouse or, even like an indoor greenhouse. Those are still kind of big and ugly. I know because I have one and it is not working right now. Like it is like 16% humidity in there and I just don't know what happened, but it's just not holding humidity anymore. So anyway, I have heat pads and those like prop boxes, the mini ones, Because I know, Nicole, you have like a big prop box, right?
Yeah, it's from the Container Store, and it's a gym shoe box. So it's like, that's the section it was in. Jay has a bunch of sneakers, and like we got a few, and I took one of those, and so it's like that size.
Oh, like shoebox size?
Yeah, like shoebox size, but like bigger, like big man foot shoebox size.
Size 13.
Big man foot.
Big man foot. But yeah, I like it because it doesn't seal, like it's not completely sealed shut. So like there's still like it has a lid and it closes, but there's still some gaps in there. Like it's not airtight. So every once in a while I'll get a mushroom pop up, but there's no mold or anything growing in there, which is really nice. But I do actually, yesterday, I don't know if you guys eat rotisserie chicken, but we buy a rotisserie chicken like at least once a week because we shred it for like tacos or enchiladas or whatever. And those are the best containers because it has a shallow bottom and a tall dome like top. So those would be the best for that. And it's a good size too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that's my little hack. And don't sleep on a heat mat. I'll say that. Don't sleep on
I need to
heat
get
mats.
some.
Yeah.
When we move, I'm getting some for sure.
So I use that hack too with takeout containers, and like a month ago or so we ordered ramen, and I had never really had like real ramen before, so I was really excited about it.
So
my
good.
gosh.
But they came in like cylindrical takeout containers that were like 6 inches tall, and they're and I honestly
Beautiful.
I immediately put 4 wet Burley Marks Fantasy sticks in there, and all 4 of them have new leaves. I mean, my Burley Marks Fantasy was large when I got it, but these wet sticks have put out leaves that are like maybe like 1.5 inches, 2 inches long. They're like the tiny
They're
little
so
cute leaves. And I kind of love them. So, and
I know, it's the best.
it's like a closed ecosystem in there. So like it condensates
Yeah.
and then it drips back down and wets the sphagnum. And so, yeah, second that with the takeout containers.
Yeah, that's a great tip hack.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. Like, Asian food just always comes in really nice containers.
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah.
And then as far as like the heat mat goes, I guess my grow lights kind of I've talked about this before, that they serve a dual purpose because I have them on my IKEA glass shelves and they're attached to the bottom of the glass. So the backs of the lights get warm, so it kind of like turns the shelf into a heat mat. So honestly,
Yeah.
my plants that are on those shelves with those grow lights and the heat have been absolutely just like growing gangbusters.
Yeah, I second that because I set mine up. I pretty much copied you, like step by step.
Flattered.
And my Hoya, oh my gosh, like this is what Hoya should look like. Like I can finally say that about my plants. There's just nonstop putting leaves out, and it's February, so I'm just not used to this, but I'm really happy that I invested in grow lights. And that's true. I kind of want to get a heat mat for my top shelf though, so I can maybe put a few up there and like utilize that as extra plant space, because it's obviously there's nothing up there, so it's colder up there. But
Yeah. Okay, so another hack for me, I don't know, like I'm trying to like think about hacks. I use whiskey glasses from like IKEA for passive hydro like cash posts because I have net pots that fit perfectly in them. And also the wee yogurt jars I use.
Oh yeah.
I use those for propagations all the time because a lot of them can fit in a box, and they all, like I can put leca in there, and you know, it just works really well. They're like each in their own individual little propagation, and the roots don't get entangled and all that stuff. So that's pretty handy.
Yeah, the wee yogurt thing I learned from you a while ago. I was like, that's a really good idea.
Wee wee.
Wee wee.
There's like a hashtag on Instagram, right? Like what people
Yeah.
use those
Yeah.
jars for. I think that's so cool. They're cute little jars.
They are, and like reusing anything like that is just awesome when people can find different ways to reuse stuff. I mean, because we buy like 6 of those a week, so to toss all that glass away, like, no, reuse it for stuff. I put candles in mine, like little tea lights.
Ooh. I love
which
that.
is a cute little thing. Yeah. Or like you can use them for like cotton swabs or like bathroom stuff.
I was going to say I have an issue with throwing away glass jars. Like I just can't do it now that I can propagate in them or like I can use them. I just have a collection of glass jars, and like Daniel knows anytime we empty out a glass jar, he's like, do you want to keep this or no? And it's so hard for me to be like, put it in the recycling. Like, I don't want to, but like why do I hold on to glass jars? Like it's so silly. But I mean, yeah, they're great to reuse for plants.
They really are. Okay, so the last one that I thought of was chopsticks. Like we got some which is wood, so this is like a temporary thing, but like we got some chopsticks from a Chinese restaurant. Chinese restaurants for the win today, man.
I
know. But they work good for like just propping up like smaller plants, like plants that are starting to get top heavy and they're kind of dipping, and you don't need a full-on moss pole or a full-on trellis yet. You just stick that bad boy in there and prop it up. Give it a little plant brace, and
there you go.
It's golden.
I have one that's sort of...
Who's ordering Chinese food tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really hungry, so like my stomach's growling while we're talking about this food. I'm like,
I was going to say another like plant braces related hack that I've recently come upon is I have a Monstera plant that's like so top heavy, and I don't want to put a moss pole on it because I'm just like over moss poles for Monsteras. I want like a big trellis or something. And I'd like to actually buy one and just do that. Like buy one that should go outside, but put it in my indoor plant. So until I'm able to do that, because they're out of season right now. So until I'm able to do that, I have like a stake in there right now, like a tall stake. It's just not strong enough to hold the plant up. So what I did was I like connected a bunch of rubber bands and wrapped it around the pot and then attached the rubber bands to the stake so it pulls it. It's like a pulley system so that it pulls the stake up. So now the plant sits upright, because what was happening is the plant was heavier than the pole. So I basically just created like a little tether system to like pull on the little pole. It looks like trash, but the plant stands up straight. Yeah, like it works. And honestly, like if you don't really care that much about aesthetic, or if you can like tuck it underneath like the lip of the pot, you can't really tell. Like I tried to tuck it up under and you can't really tell, honestly. So that was a good one.
You can use rubber bands, but now that I'm thinking about it, you could probably also just use elastic. Like if you're a sewer.
That's right.
You can just use like a long piece of elastic and just That's a good idea though.
So I did want to talk about one more, but it's one that I haven't done, but I think is genius. So I have a friend here in town. His Instagram's at Jay's Tropicals, but he started making moss. I don't want to say poles because they're kind of flat. You know, like what things like the Monstera dubia would climb up. Like, yeah. But it's from that like really plastic covered mesh that's like thick, and then he makes these like boards. But what he does is he threads a wicking cord through the whole thing like in a zigzag motion, and then leaves the wicking cord out with some length at the bottom, and then just sets a cup of water and puts the cord in water, so the whole pole will just like wick up the water. So because you know keeping moss poles wet is like a full-time business. But
it really is.
If you thread a piece of wicking cord through and have that like just sitting in a glass of water, and you just keep filling that glass of water up as it wicks up the moisture. Honestly, I thought it was
That's pretty genius.
I'm sure he's probably not the only one who's thought about that, but I thought that was genius when I saw it. I was just like, okay, if you have multiple plants that have a pole or something to climb, and you can just put like a big jug of water behind them all, and then just have all their cords go into it to keep that is sphagnum
brilliant.
wet.
That is. My friend Marissa.
I wonder if anybody sells those. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say my friend Marissa, Leafy Greens _ she made a tutorial on a self-watering moss pole that sounds very similar. Like, so cool.
Oh, okay.
On Instagram.
Yeah, I follow her too.
People are just so much smarter than me, you know? I love it.
That's why the internet's like amazing, because we can just like use will,
It really is.
take their advice and use it.
I've thought about that like randomly because information is so readily available at all of our fingertips, but like 50 years ago, if you like didn't know how to do macrame, you had to like find a book or find a class in person kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now
there's like 100
so
videos on
easy.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Cool beans. Well, this was a really fun episode. Did you have any more, Becca? I'm sorry.
Nope.
I think I'm out.
I'm out.
You're done? Okay. Well, thanks so much, guys, for joining us in today's episode. Be sure to head over to our Instagram page at Potted Together so you can like today's post, interact with us in the comment section, throw us a comment, tell us a plant hack that maybe you're doing right now, or share it in your stories and then we can repost it, because I really like doing that. When people share stuff and then they tag us in stories, it's so fun.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
do
it
want to
is
hear
fun.
about, the hacks that others use, because we all can learn from each other.
Yeah, I mean, I just learned something from you today, both of you guys, so that's fun. Also, we do have a YouTube channel if you're not already familiar, which you should be because we say this every week. Be sure to go follow us over there and watch some collabs. We might have another one in the works pretty soon.
Yes.
And yes, and leave us a review if you're on a platform that lets you leave reviews, because it helps us get into the right people's ear holes.
Also, thank you to the listener who directed me to the video that I was trying to find in our episode a couple weeks ago.
That was great.
About Becca hating on her ficus, because of you, we found it and we created the TikTok.
Yay!
By we, I mean I did, and
Yes.
I asked Becca's permission, so she was okay with it.
We both searched.
I
far and
truly
wide.
love all of my plants,
Except
except for this one. I hate this plant.
I feel like in my memories, I sounded so much bitchier saying it, but in the video, I'm like, I love all of my plants except for this one. I just don't like it that much. Anyway.
No, you said hate. You said I hate this one.
I
You
hate
said
this
hate.
one.
You used
But
our
like, I
hate.
feel like when we recreate the moment, we're like, I love all of my plants except this
Except
one.
Except this
And
one.
it was so much more calm. I was kind of disappointed that I wasn't like
Yeah.
bitchier. Like I saw it and I was
But
like,
you did have that like slight little eye roll. There was like a little eye roll after you like turned back around from looking at that plant. You're like, ugh.
I think it's because me and Adam kind of know who you are, so we felt that you were, being nice for the camera, but you really wanted to punch it.
yeah.
You were turned on for the camera.
Turned on.
I was turned on. Yeah, that's right.
And we go out with that. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.